Welcome to the House of Cards. I am not your bartender. I'm a mixologist. And that's because therapist for your time while I get you Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you need really was already a job taken. So what can I get for you? Hand trap tier list. We don't make those here. It's for the customers. It's a really big seller. Is there anything else? I'm dangerous with those cards. Hell, I'll have one with you. Don't worry about my license. I got this. I have been doing this way before the legal limits. We can do this together. I'll be all right. Don't worry. I am not a lightweight. Oh my God, it's you. Oh my God, it's you. I love you. You know that. I make this. I give you this hand trap tier list this one time. But I swear if you tell my boss, I'm just gonna lay right here. Just gonna lay right here. What are the best hand traps post Duelist Nexus? Unfortunately, in the Duelist Nexus set, we got no new hand traps, but the way you play hand traps should be a lot different because there are a ton of powerful Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And in this video, I'm going to be rating some of the most popular and powerful hand traps on a tier list. We have the must-play hand traps all the way down to, just order another drink. This ain't it. My guy, if you really like Bartender Cali, well, he's looking for a new job, and you just might have to be looking for a new way to win if you're playing these hand traps right now. So, the criteria for this tier list is simple, my friend. I not only want to show you how powerful these hand traps are, I actually want to illustrate how good are these hand traps against multiple matchups. Some of the top and most played decks that we're going to be taking into consideration are Kashtira, Hurley, and Rescue Ace, but we're not going to forget about some other commonly played strategies like Branded, Dragons, and everything in between. So with that being said, this rating is fairly diverse, but let's go ahead and jump onto it. Artifact Lancia is a interesting Yu-Gi-Oh card. It can actually stop Rescue Ace from summoning monsters like Preventer and Rescue Ace Turbulence, which is huge, and it could turn off Kashtira from banishing cards. Regardless, I don't think that this card is anything better than sideboard worthy, and that's because it doesn't do a whole lot to stop an opponent's turn. My guys, you remember back in 2020 when it was stopping Dinos and Phantom Knights? That was big Yu-Gi-Oh! And unless you're experiencing something like that, I think at best it would be a sideboard situation if you're really weak to those particular interactions. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, if you are deciding to play hand traps, because it is still an option, it's your choice in 2023, big dog. Ash Blossom is easily a must-play hand trap. There's virtually no matchup where Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is not good. Rescue Ace, hit the emergency. Pearly, hit my friend Pearly. With Kashtira, there's Theosis, there's Unicorn, there's Wavesoft, pick your poison. And Ash Blossom just so happens to be really good against matchups like Branded on Branded Fusion and okay against a lot of other matchups, not only making it a generically good hand trap, but powerful against certain strategies. My guy, this in a Labyrinth matchup? I ain't trying to see no mommy milkers tonight. Wait, hold on. I want to be a virgin like y'all. Now, the Bestial monsters are really interesting because there are decks like Rescue Ace that are coming into the format, but then there are decks like ABC, which Bestials are really good against. And my professional expertise, if that's what we're going to call it, I would say that Bestials are main board worthy, but I would like to put an asterisk next to it. The Bestials are really good if you are playing a deck that benefits from the Bestials itself. Let's take, for example, if you're playing a dragon deck that likes to use Magnuma to be able to search dragons, or maybe you're playing Thunder Dragons, which need the Bestials to banish the Thunder Dragons. In that case, even in your bad matchups, this card is still really good. And when it shines against some of those other matchups, it genuinely does shine. Contact C. Well, this card's interesting. Contact C. Oh my God, think about it though. Pearly is really going to have a hard time dealing with Contact C. Even if they do link it off, they're gonna have to link off their monster to be able to use Contact C. I don't think it's a bad card. I'm gonna go ahead and say borderline. There are some matchups where Contact C is completely dog water against, and then there are some matchups where it's interestingly good. Watch out for this card. Dami Mommy, my boy, it is easily a must. I'm trying out here. I really am. Okay, you got to hear me out. Double Mama. Okay, guys, if you're on that copium train, allow me to ride it with you. Effect negation is king right now, so you could play Sword Soul Iris in your deck if you're playing a lot of effect negation, and voila, you got mamas on your field. Fine then, don't believe me. Foxy would agree. Diddy Crow has some fairly interesting interactions. Being able to banish parts for Mid-Adium players to make Vicious Astrolaud or targets for Calarium, then also being able to banish Dark World monsters. There's ABC parts, Infernoble cards in the graveyard, and then whatever Perlily wants to target in the graveyard, Diddy Crow is actually, it's a lot better than what people think. The biggest problem with Diddy Crow is that there's variance. Sometimes you get matchups like Kashtira, where Diddy Crow does nothing. And then other times you up good because Diddy Crow is that card and they'll never see it coming. Dimensional Shifter is the worst design Yu-Gi-Oh card in the game. If your deck can play it though, you probably should play it. In the North American World Championship, somebody won because they de-shifted twice in a row. It was to get to Worlds. It just goes to show how unfair this card is, even in certain Yu-Gi-Oh matchups. If your deck is hit just a little bit, and some decks are hit by a lot that you don't like, siding this card is still a best option too. Joel and Lockbird, my boy, I think this is probably the second best go-to hand trap right now. Also, keep in mind, if you are a search-heavy deck that does not use your graveyard, Shifter does stop Droll, so there's that information. Droll and Lockbird may single-handedly be the best card in Duelist Nexus right now because every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck that is competitively viable searches more than once. The only problem with Droll and Lockbird is that the later that games get, the worse that this cards get, which I think is a pretty decent balance. Some people have been off of the Effect Veiler juice in favor of cards like Infinite Impermanence, but Effect Veiler actually does have its benefits. The biggest benefit is being able to activate Effect Veiler regardless of what you have on the field. The second biggest benefit is that if you're playing a deck like Bystials, then you have a light target to be able to banish. And the third best is that it is a monster and a tuner in a synchro heavy format. This card kind of do a little bit of it all. Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, you old guys know it is Thanos. This card genuinely does create balance, and I'm actually gonna put it above Order Another Drink. I think this card is secretly good. Let's face it now, in Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2023, almost every deck Link summons. This card's power is determined on how many times you Link summon. Against Link decks like Altergeist, Unchained, and Infernoble, this card can actually genuinely be good. Bro, just doing a Birdman hand rub, waiting on them to summon another Link, you be But then there's also matchups like Pearly, Kashtira, and Brandon. Yep. I think that Fantastical Dragon Phantasme is a card that players should consider actually picking up before they skyrocket in price. Eventually, this card will come back to rotation as a pretty good card. Psy-Frame Gear Gam, another drink. Yeah. Every time we do a hand trap tier list, I am reminded that I got 3 copies of Collector's Gamma, only 4 to get limited. That's my message to you, Konami. Yeah, you got it. Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood does not have a favorable matchup right now. Now, granted, it could hit some cool things like Tier Element's Field Spell to be able to destroy, or maybe even Gold Pride's Field Spell, but I don't think that it warrants enough for you to be able to play this in your main board, especially since a lot of decks just want their monster effects to go off. And off the top of my head, I can't even think of abundant matchups where this card would be really good. I would probably avoid it for right now, unless you're playing a deck that involves Emergency Teleport and you're potentially looking for a Psychic Tuner monster. Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. The Dogwood is always side-worthy. Only if you know people are taking long times. But a huge asterisk next to the Dogwood, from what I've experienced, this Yu-Gi-Oh format does not require 45-minute games often. Dogwood and you going into time is more, I guess you could say, a player preference and how your opponent is playing. Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion has some crazy good interactions. It can stop cards like Runic Fountain and Big Welcome Labyrinth. It can prevent Revolution Synchron from being summoned from the graveyard. There are some really good matchups where Ghost Bell can shine, and then there are some matchups where Ghost Bell is the worst Yu-Gi-Oh card in history. Easily a borderline card. I think Ghost Bell is personally dependent on how many Dragon, Labyrinth, Bystial, or whatever graveyard reliant decks that your opponent is playing or players are playing. This card can be really good, but also could be really bad. You could put it in your main board, probably better in the side decks though as a 3-of than a main board as a 3-of. Though I ain't gonna lie, it do be having some interactions where it'd be like, damn, I wish I had Ghost Bell. Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill is similar to Effect Veiler, except it can be activated during any phase and inflicts burn damage. I think it's main board worthy. Because right now this format seems to be so monster effect dependent, Ghost Mourner is a perfect alternative to be able to dodge Dimension Shifter, still be able to negate the effects, and have a card to activate while you have monsters in the field. Specifically, if you're playing a deck like Kashtira, this card is really, really good. And for some other decks, you may want to consider Infinite Impermanence or Effect Veiler over it, but if you do decide this, the time reason does come up. I mean, it just so happens to be a monster effect negation that could burn your opponent in time. It could come up. Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. There were so many people that were telling me,
You're wrong about Ghost Reaper. It's 1 week, blah, 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 do.
yeah, and statistically, this card has always been trash. Now, on a smaller scale, I am not doubting Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. This card can completely obliterate an opponent's main strategy. But on that same note, on a smaller scale, I also wouldn't disregard an Exodia deck. It literally wins the game. On the grander scale of things, statistically, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries has been a very terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card. And now that decks are more diverse than ever, not necessarily needing their ace card in the extra deck, this card only gets worse. Now, no material should be in Order Another Drink. It's pretty gimmicky, but when you think about using this on your opponent's Vanadium monster summon, or using this card effect on a Pearly monster, it kind of gets saucy just a little bit. Now, keep in mind, I want you to treat no material like that one person that wants to get with you and you're still a virgin for a reason. It's not the best option in the world, but if you really need it, it's there. Come on, big dog, be honest. That person doesn't exist. You're a virgin because you haven't been subscribed to this channel. Herald of Orange Light is a huge main board worthy card with an asterisk next to it. Obviously, if you don't have the fairy monsters to play with this card, then you can't play it. This card is the closest thing we're going to get to Ciphering Gear Gamma for a very long time. Infinite Impermanence at the very least would be a main board hand trap, but I'm going to say it's a must play, and there's a couple of reasons why. The first thing about Infinite Impermanence is that it does dodge cards like Triple Tactics Talent and Triple Tactics Thrust. It's also a hand trap that can be activated on the start of your turn and is an out to impressive Yu-Gi-Oh cards like Chaos Angel and Berlin Dragon. Easily, if I had 9 slots for hand trap in almost every deck, it would go Ash, Droll, Imperm. Probably in that order. In the 4th slot, big dog, you already know what it is. It'll probably be Nibiru. Nibiru is incredibly cracked right now. Even the trap decks like Altergeist are summoning 5 turns. Labyrinth Unchained? They're all doing it. It seems like at the beginning of a format, nobody ever respects the rock, and that's when you get the big cooking, my mans. I'll be the first to say that Ciphering Gear Delta was a massive flop. My bad, guys. Apparently, we're gonna lose the Eradicator Epidemic Virus no matter what. Hey, man, I tried. Wait, is this Epsilon? Bro, is this the one that negates spells or traps? Both of them deserve another drink. It is what it is at this point. Retaliating Sea, my mans. Retaliating Sea is pretty decent right now, and it's for a couple of reasons. I think that Retaliating Sea is really good against decks that play runic cards, but then there's also Pearly, which, oh my god, it's crazy. And it searches Contact Sea. I'm gonna go ahead and put Retaliating Sea into borderline. If you're seeing a lot of spell-heavy special summon decks, this card is absolute god. Bonus points if they can't beat Contact Sea either. Saravis the Ascendant. This card is actually really good, especially when effect negation is king. Watch this. Targets, targets, targets. Huh. On top of that, the other powerful cards that target inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh card game, Saravis, could be the reason why your combo gets protected from other hand traps in cards alike. It's pretty decent. Unlike DD Crow's Skullmeister actually stops the monster effect. Just have another drink. I like how this guy has chunky attack. He's the strongest hand trap here outside of Nibiru and the Bestials. Oh, and Thanos. Sorry, Thanos. But what I don't like about my mans is that he gotta stop activations, so sometimes we just want certain cards. And then lastly, yeah, boy, is gonna be well, the adventure decks are starting to see a little bit more play, so can I put Sideworthy? No. Even with Adventure Engine popping up more, I don't think it would be worth it to play Token Collector. I would actually play Ghost Ogre before I would even consider playing Token Collector, because at least that can hit field spells too. And no, this is not coming from the chairman of the Sword Soul team. No, not ever. And that's all that I have for the best hand traps post Duelist Nexus. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, you already know what to do with that subscribe button, but also be sure to check out these other videos, big dog. I'll catch you on the next one. Is there anything else I can get for you, Doc? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? God damn it.